Missing. Ooh, super. Uh, Good evening, everybody. My name is Marko Radenković. I'll be presenting you a project from Belgrade, Serbia. So it's a country very close to Croatia. Uh, we were once the same country, but that's not going to be the topic of this lecture. Um, I'm going to talk to you about a space which is more than a physical space. It's a kind of a platform. But before that, I would like to show you a little bit of challenge we had and we tried to address. As I said, we once were one country, but not in the context of Yugo-nostalgic, much more from the context of the industry, which was very, how to say, spread throughout these countries. And unfortunately, after some years, if we were looking this context from the perspective of Serbia, the number of industries related to, for which we are going to work at the end were less and less. So we wanted to address this issue with the idea of having something which is going to be a space which is going to inspire creativity, but also which is going to set new standards in creative industries in that way. Because Nova Iskra is something which is very connected to design and to the architecture, but we wanted to have three core values which were important for us from the beginning. The first one was that project we are starting, once we wanted to be independent, we wanted to be self-sustainable, but in which way? That we are the only one who are responsible for its existence in a way. So we do not depend on anybody who is, I don't know, either financing or being a big partner of this project. On the other hand, we wanted to create a platform which is going to be socially responsible, so we don't want to create something which is going to be a service towards the industries, like from the previous slide, but also to engage and start projects which are going to address problems in our community. The third core value which was important for us is that we create something which is going to be business oriented. So it's not just a space which is going to gather different creatives or designers or architects, but a platform which is going to raise and initiate different business projects and corporations. On the other hand, having in mind that there is a lot of different regional platforms which gathers designers and different, young creatives, we wanted to have a focus. So we decided to focus on young people, 25 to 35 years of age, who are dealing in the field of design and architecture, and pretty much everything in between. So our focus are graphic designers, also web designers, but also product designers, interior and architectures, also working with some developers, but I will tell you about it a little bit later. But what was the reality? We decided to address one very specific part of Belgrade. It's called Savamala. So we have worked very tightly with local municipality Savski Venac in order to refurbish abandoned space, which was pretty much in this shape like this. And it was in total 350 square meter space. And we said, okay, when the first day we entered this space, if we want to gather designers and creatives in something which is going to be inspiring space for them, we knew that we will have to work very hard to redecorate something which was looking like this. So on the other hand, when we started this whole project, which was in 2010, we started working almost more than 2 years, to be honest, with more than 22 partners, mostly from private sector, but as I said, from the public sector only on the municipality level. And 9 months later of construction works, we created, with the help of those guys especially, we created something which is looking like this. And I was giving you pretty much wide story about this whole thing which is called Nova Iskra, or New Spark in English, if I would have to translate it. But on the, I wanted to tell you now what is it all about in a sense. So first of all, as we said, we want to create a space which is going to be addressed for the designers and architects. We said, in order to be independent and self-sustainable, we wanted to make it a co-working space. So 20 working stations and capacity, and we all share the costs of that space. So at this moment, I think we raised our capacity for around 23 persons who are using the cost. On the other hand, we are insisting on creating different educational programs from lectures, workshops, and seminars, which are at least once or two times a week held in space of Nova Iskra, but also not just toward the designers, but also creating programs who are trying to address issues also on the industry side and in the industry level. So far we had, even though we were like 6 months old, we have done around 30 plus programs, but also we have gathered around 2,500 people involved in these programs throughout Nova Iskra. But this is something which is, for me, especially interesting about Nova Iskra, because, as we said, one of our core values is to be business-oriented, and this is how we are doing it. We have 3 levels of memberships. The first one, we call it Designers Lab, and those are these 20 or 23 people who are working and using co-working space of Nova Iskra. And just having these 20 persons, Nova Iskra will exist for as long as there is, need for the space. But on the other hand, we have the second membership level, which is called Creative Hub Network, and this is invitation-only membership. So we are selecting different individuals from design, architecture, and everything in between, not just from Serbia, but also from the entire region. And the idea of this membership is that we give them all of our space, services, contacts, and everything we have totally for free. And the only reason why we want them to be part of our network is that we can work together on projects which are going to happen in the future or happening right now. So the thing is that if you would like to compare Nova Iskra from the perspective of the agency or creative studio or design or something like that, the thing is that we don't have a single creative guy on our pay list, so we don't have anybody who is a full-time there, but we have around 250 people who are very close to our platform. And the idea behind that is that we can address any project which is presented to us with a special kind of tailor-made team for each project. Especially because the Nova Iskra is run mostly by young producers and managers, mostly in culture, but also in business. So our idea and position in this project is to be some kind of, account or project manager in different specific jobs. So, I don't know, it can be very commercial project for, some manufacturer, but also we can work with some NGOs or social businesses from Serbia in order to improve their business, presentation, communications, or something like that. And that brings us to our third membership level, which is, we are calling it Creative Industry Hub. And it's consisted at this moment with 40 different companies, manufacturers who are part of our network. But also we are working with different organizations, mostly working and upgrading their communication, design, products and services for their market, let's say it like that. This is the website where you can check all of our projects we are working on. I will just tell you a short, how to say, introduction in one of our biggest projects we are starting as a platform, because we don't want to become some kind of new redesigned agency model, because that's not what we want to do. Our idea is to use this creative potential of these network members and to create projects which are going to address much bigger and important issues in our society. So at this moment we are running huge project we are calling New Classroom, and we are addressing an issue with space for learning, especially in primary schools, and these classrooms haven't been changed for almost, I think, 30 or 40 years. Even our parents were sitting in the same classrooms as it is. So we approached Ministry of Education, also the city of Belgrade, and we said, okay, give us the informations, but the economy behind, you know, furnishing and redecorating classrooms in Serbia, and give us those same numbers, and just give us some free time to think about new, you know, maybe furniture, but also it can be a new setup, it can be a modular system, but let us, you know, work with these people who are part of our network to rethink new classroom, you know, in education system of Serbia. So this is just one part of projects we are working. On the other hand, the second project we are currently working on is called is a direct support to social businesses. So the idea is to jointly work with creatives, especially product designers and furniture designers, with vulnerable groups who are already organized in some sort of production. So we are, you know, using their knowledge, their skills, and directly connecting them with some designer who is having an idea of a product. We are trying to raise standard of that certain organizations and their role on the market today. So that would be a short presentation about Nova Iskra, but please free to visit us whenever you are in Belgrade, for those who are not from Belgrade. But so if you have any questions regarding Nova Iskra, please ask, or we can just hang out here.
Hvala. Should I do it in English? Yeah. I'll do it in English. You come from Belgrade. What are your opinion or maybe experience is how doable is such an idea or a project in a far smaller city or habitat? I think that I mean, as I understood, you're selling your services mainly to Serbian companies. You're not doing it to other countries, EU. I mean, if you were based, I don't know, in Niš, would you ever be able to have this sort of success or not? What's your opinion?
Well, we're not working just with Serbian companies. To be honest, I don't think that the position of the space is not important for your growth. There are three main things when you are starting to think about projects like this, because, you know, we have a lot of colleagues, friends, you know, people working in culture, arts, design and everything, and the first question they have for you when they see what you have done is, oh my God, I need a space, how can I get a space, you know? And I could see from the previous conversation in the other room that that's also the thing in Rijeka. But to be honest, space is is not that important in a way, because there are three main questions. The first one, okay, I need to find a space, so probably that's not that complicated. If you have some partners, friends, you have a network of supporters, then you will have to find the funds to, you know, refurbish, decorate, you know, equip the space. That's also not that big problem. It also depends on your knowledge and skills, how you can fundraise or gather partners. But for me, the most important question is how you're going to create a self-sustainable system out of it. Because, to be honest, when you ask that question from the 6-month perspective of Nova Iskra, is that after every month you have, 6 people who are expecting to have salaries out of this. You have costs of the space every month you have to cover. So you don't have to think only about the physical space, because that network, I talked about this creative hub, those are the people, who are not using the space. They're just part of this, let's say, virtual hub we are creating, and pulling them and bringing them to different projects and programs we are running. Yes, some of them are in the space, but some of them are not. So that's not that important. Yeah. No, the whole project was started by a group of 8 culture producers, managers in culture. So, and from different backgrounds. Some of them were running very successful festivals. Some of them are working a lot with children, different programs with children. Some of them on very commercial projects. So we wanted, our idea from the beginning, and that was 2010, was to create a space in which you can create your own rules, in a way. So, and we realized that if you are alone, especially as a creative, a designer, architect, or somebody like that, because usually during your education you don't receive that much knowledge about business communication, presentation, price, price determination, just about selling yourself, which is pretty much most of the work of, somebody who is dealing with graphic design, web design, or product design. And we said, okay, maybe that's our job, to step up and to create something in which, space in which we can not just be yourself, but there is a structure behind you, there is a big system, there is a management team behind you, and there's also, 250 people who share the same thoughts behind you. So that is the whole thing. If you would like to, see Nova Iskra from much wider perspective, besides the space, it's some kind of, regrouping, and because on your own, you will hardly be able to set up new standards. If there is a client coming in and he said, I want you to pay you, that amount of money, which is not a market price or something like that, but if there is a system behind you and there is, people who can help you, that client-designer relationship is much different today with the people who are using space or working with Nova Iskra. Yeah.
How does it work? How does it work when you have do you have a client and
Yeah.
he says, okay, I want to get something done and I want designers to do that. What do you do?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, because we have so different, how to say, ideas and projects people approach us.
Well, if it's a hub,
Sorry?
so if it's a hub, that means that a lot of people are involved in it.
Yeah.
A lot of designers and stuff.
Yeah.
So how do you choose who will do the job?
Well, I can tell you from several examples. Like IKEA approached us because they were partners of the project, and they said, we have very specific job for you, which we saw that it's very complex and that we need people from different backgrounds.
Okay.
And so we kind of create very specific brief together with the client, so we can really design and do a good matchmaking with the creatives who are
Who
going
does
to be.
that?
We are the management of Nova Iskra.
So the management tell who will do the job.
Yeah, but the
out
model...
of designers from the all of...
Yeah, and the model is different from case to case. Sometimes we just do the matchmaking. So there's a client that said, I have a very specific job, I need a graphic designer. We, you know, scan our network, our membership. We send, in some cases we send direct email and said, okay, there is this job, who is interested? So maybe there is some kind of...
So I have another question.
But also there is, like, for some clients we organize a closed pitch. So, you know, we send direct invitation to some of designers who share the aesthetics of that potential client or job, or have previous experience, or I don't know, have done already something in that field, let's say packaging. So
But, okay, isn't that exclusive? Like you're closing the door to some other people?
well, not, because to be honest, if you, I don't know, if there's somebody, I can tell you just one example. Like, there was this huge company which is going to start in, I don't know, let's say in the middle of the next year. And it's a production manufacturer who is going to produce packaging out of recycled paper. You know, this pulp kind of, if you know this egg packaging, that's that kind of material. And it's a very specific job, you know, and it's a job for industrial designers. And maybe in the last phase there is going to be some graphic designers involved in it. So that's not a job for everybody in our network. So we are working mostly and scanning the database, the profiles, the portfolios of the people who have experience in packaging, in creating 3D models, renders, and these specific projects. For some clients we had closed pitch. So we said, these are the rules, these are the, how to say, standards. If you agree with them, you can, you know, apply to this pitch. And for some, it's very direct, one-to-one matchmaking. The idea, it's not an exclusive model, because the idea is that we can generate and distribute a lot of work, you know, and a lot of projects. So as there is a lot of projects, pretty much the whole network will be involved eventually throughout these projects. The problem will be if there is only 5 projects, but the thing is that the ratio of the projects who are getting into Nova Iskra are big, you know, from day to day.
Okay, but let's say, I'm a designer.
Yeah. Okay, we have 3 more minutes, but can you... Yeah. The question is, how is the response? Yeah, on the one hand, we have to look at it from several perspectives. Twice a year we have an open call for co-working space, and at this time we are having full capacity, so we cannot, you know, rent more co-working space in the space. Regarding educational programs, so far we are very satisfied and they're very full. To be honest, mostly let's say manufacturers and companies are having hard time determining who we are, because they are used to working with agencies, creative design studios, you know, companies who are dealing with design, and we are not that, because we are something in between an organization and the company. So that's probably something we have to work a lot more in the future to work on that. Do we have some, yeah, we have to wrap it up, but we can stay, you know, there and have some talk and talk some questions, yeah. Okay, thank you very much.